Chopra and you're watching VNN.
Hello everyone, my name is Pragya and welcome to the weekly show. Here are the top headlines for this week. Russia launches an attack on Ukraine. Ontario's Labour Minister Monte McNaughton speaks exclusively to VNN. Drivers in GTA now get a chance to earn extra money with local driver co-op. In this week's Business and You, learn more about financing for small businesses. And Councillor Gurpreet Dhillon explains why auto insurance is expensive in Brampton. Russia has declared a war on Ukraine. Russia's President Vladimir Putin has announced that he is launching a special military operation in Ukraine, a move that was followed up by reports of explosions around cities, including Kharkiv in eastern Ukraine and the capital Kyiv. And while there are numerous reports going around about Russia's invasion of Ukraine, one question that is of utmost importance right now is why Vladimir Putin is so desperate to get Ukraine. What does he want from Ukraine that he's ready to launch a war despite getting massive retaliation from the Western countries? We will find that out shortly. My name is Pragya Devan and you're watching Voice News Network. Vladimir Putin has laid out his intentions about invading Ukraine clearly while making an announcement launching a special military operation in Ukraine.
With accordance to the Article 51 in the 7th chapter of the UN Charter with the sanction of the Federation Council and according to the Friendship and Mutual Help treaties with Donetsk and Lugansk republics, I have decided to conduct a special military operation. The goal is to protect the people who for 8 years suffer bullying and genocide from the Kiev regime. And for this we aim for the demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine.
The Western countries, on the other hand, are repeatedly warning Russia of grave consequences if the country decides to invade Ukraine.
But this aggression cannot go unanswered. If it did, the consequences for America would be much worse. America stands up to bullies. We stand up for freedom. This is who we are. Let me also repeat the warning I made last week. If Russia pursues cyber attacks against our companies, our critical infrastructure, we are prepared to respond. For months, we've been working closely with the private sector to harden our cyber defenses, sharpen our ability to respond to Russian cyber attacks as well.
We are imposing further severe sanctions. These sanctions will target 58 individuals and entities, including members of the Russian elite and their family members, as well as the Wagner Group and major Russian banks, among others. We will also sanction members of the Russian Security Council, including the Defense Minister, the Finance Minister, and the Justice Minister. In addition, effective immediately, we are ceasing all export permits for Russia and cancelling existing permits.
Today, in concert with our allies, we will agree a massive package of economic sanctions designed in time to hobble the Russian economy. And to that end, we must also collectively cease the dependence on Russian oil and gas that for too long has given Putin his grip on Western politics. Our mission is clear. Diplomatically, politically, economically, and eventually militarily, this hideous and barbaric venture of Vladimir Putin must end in failure.
Now, there are a few reasons why Putin wants Ukraine badly. First, he wants a say in Ukraine's geopolitical decisions. This is one thing that is very close to Putin. He often writes about it in his articles. He says that he considers both countries to be one nation and they should be united. The second reason is Ukraine's growing closeness with the Western countries, which are also part of NATO. Now, NATO stands for North Atlantic Treaty Organization, also called the North Atlantic Alliance. It is an intergovernmental military alliance between 28 European countries and 2 North American countries. NATO constitutes a system of collective security whereby its independent member states agree to mutual defense in response to an attack by an external party. Ukraine wants to join NATO, but Russia is not in agreement with this. Now, if you look at the map carefully, other countries that border Russia are already with NATO. So why Russia doesn't want Ukraine to join it? Because Russia and Ukraine share a long land border, and letting Ukraine become closer to Western countries would mean more security issues for Russia. So the gist of the story is that Putin wants Ukraine to be closer to Russia and away from the West. Now, why has this matter escalated into a war, you ask? For this, the biggest factor is Russia's image of being a superpower. While Russia's dominance in the East is stagnant right now, Ukraine, on the other hand, is getting a lot of support from its Western counterparts. Military, resources, weapons, you name it. West has Ukraine's back. And this is certainly affecting Russia and its status quo. If Ukraine is important for Russia, it is also very important for the Western countries, especially the US, for global domination. At this point, it is also important to talk about a strategic place called Crimea, which plays a major role in the situation. Crimea is a peninsula located in Black Sea. In 1954, Soviet leader Nikita Khrushchev gave it to Ukraine to strengthen brotherly ties between Ukraine and Russia. When Ukraine became independent in 1991, Crimea joined it and was given special autonomy. Russia, on the other hand, promised to respect Crimea's autonomous status. But in 2014, Russia gained full military control over Crimea. This is a strategic location for Ukraine for trade with the West. You do the math. The war is on. Russia has already seized the Chernobyl nuclear plant, and Ukraine's foreign ministry also warned about the severity of the situation, tweeting that it could cause another ecological disaster. Western countries in retaliation have stopped sanctions for Russia. Now, who wins in this clash of titans? Only time will tell, but history tells us that wars have helped no one. If you want to watch stories like this, subscribe to our channel so that you never miss an update. Amidst the Russia-Ukraine crisis, Canada announced more sanctions on Russia, including the halting of all export permits as well as financial penalties targeting banks, lawmakers and elites, despite Russia promising to retaliate against those who interfere with its operations in Ukraine. And now, as a result, Canadian gas prices are expected to spike as the Ukrainian conflict prompts oil market chaos. Analysts expect gas prices to jump 5 cents per litre this weekend. Now, there is still uncertainty around how tensions between Russia and Ukraine will play out, but if the crisis in Eastern Europe worsens, analysts fear that the current deficit in the oil market could double, sending prices through the roof. Leader of Ontario's Liberal Party, Stephen Del Duca, is asking the Provincial Liquor Control Board, also known as LCBO, to stop selling Russian products in its stores following that country's invasion of Ukraine. In his letter, Del Duca says that Ontario cannot say that it is standing with Ukraine while continuing to be Putin's customer. The LCBO did not immediately respond to a request for comment. However, the Crown Corporation sells various vodka brands from Russia, including Russian Standard Vodka, Legend of Kremlin Premium Vodka, and Beluga Russian Luxury Vodka. This week, Voice Media Group Editor-in-Chief Bala Menon speaks exclusively with the Honourable Monte McNaughton, Ontario's Minister of Labour, Training and Skills Development, about the various programs and the drive to boost training for jobs in the lucrative trade sector. Check it out.
Hi, welcome to VNN. We have with us the Honourable Monty McNaughton, Ontario's Minister of Labour, Training and Skills Development. As we all know, he is handling one of the most important portfolios in the government and doing it very well. judging by the many initiatives undertaken by his ministry. Welcome to Vienna, Minister McNaughton.
Well, I'm really honored to be with you today.
I know now we'll start off with this about this horse racing careers, and you have this training program that you have started. Can you tell us something about this?
Absolutely. I mean, Premier Ford and I are on a mission to get people into meaningful jobs. We want people earning bigger paychecks so they can support themselves, but most importantly, their families. One of the things we recently announced was a $2 million investment to get 250 people trained so they can take up jobs in the equine and horse racing industry. There's a huge labor shortage right across Ontario, including in the horse racing and equine industry. I mean, today 1,000 jobs are going unfilled. Many people love working with animals, and so we've introduced a training program to recruit 250 people into these jobs.
Mm-hmm. I mean, how many racing grounds are there in Ontario? I mean, how many jobs do you expect in the industry?
Well, as I said today, 1,000 jobs are going unfilled. This specific training program will recruit 250 women and men to pick up careers in the equine industry or the horse racing industry, whether it's groomers or people caring for these animals or working in stalls or at tracks. I mean, there's a lot of opportunities out there. And again, people want to live a life with purpose and meaningful careers, and there's a lot of interest in this program.
So do these cover farms and stables as well?
Absolutely. The agriculture sector is really growing in Ontario. There's a lot of opportunity in the agriculture sector. This is just one of the initiatives that we've launched recently, Premier Ford and I, to help people get into meaningful jobs.
So is this a joint government and sort of private industry venture, or is it just the government alone?
No, we're partnering with the horse racing industry and the equine industry. They're providing training plus paid work placements, and the government's partnering with some financial assistance to ensure that when people do a work placement, they're getting paid for that.
And I was reading that it's a huge sector, isn't it? It's a $2.3 billion worth. That's quite a large sum.
Absolutely. I mean, many people don't realize that agriculture is either the first or second largest part of the economy in Ontario. And as you mentioned, the horse industry alone is over $2 billion. And it's actually growing in Ontario. Under the former Liberal government, they basically wanted to close down a whole bunch of racetracks. We've now stabilized the industry, and it's looking to have a really bright future. But like many other businesses, they're short of employees and workers. So we're partnering to recruit 250 people into these meaningful and good jobs.
How is the response so far? It's encouraging.
Been really positive. Obviously COVID-19 has changed life for everyone. But the good news is, for those people that maybe lost their jobs during the pandemic or had their hours reduced, there are a lot of great opportunities out there, better paying jobs for people. And the government is here to provide that training to connect them with those in-demand, meaningful jobs so they can build stronger families for themselves.
And then moving on, you said last week you announced about this $1.5 billion rebate from the WSIB.
Yeah, this is really to help small businesses across the province. Premier Ford and I announced a $1.5 billion rebate to businesses. 95% of the businesses receiving this rebate are small businesses. So for example, if you have about 80 employees, it could mean a rebate of about $28,000. Again, this is all about ensuring that, businesses can grow coming out of the pandemic, bigger paychecks for workers, more health and safety protections for workers as well.
But you said that employers will reinvest this money into their businesses and workers, but there is no way to guarantee that. I mean, they might just consider it as an additional income, isn't it?
Well, certainly this money that the WSIB collects is paid on behalf of employers, and they paid for many, many years WSIB premiums. But we've really driven a lot of change at the WSIB. They're running more efficient. We have new leadership there. And my goal is to get money back into the economy. I believe that people spend money better than government. And why should we have billions of dollars sitting in a government agency's bank account? We know in the past when premiums have been reduced, many companies have given bonus checks to employees. They've invested in health and safety programs, and I believe employers will do that this time.
So WSIB has a lot of reserve funds today.
Yeah, they've certainly turned it around. I mean, it wasn't that long ago. It was actually on the brink of bankruptcy, but I'm proud to say that we've made a number of changes down there, and the future looks good.
But couldn't the government have used this money for, say, to start more training programs or for safety expenses, etc., instead of handing it over to businesses?
Well, the WSIB, is an insurance system here in Ontario. They pay benefits out to injured workers, and the benefits to injured workers won't be impacted by the rebates to the small businesses across the province. But again, this is good news for those small businesses. The restrictions will be lifted on March the 1st, and these rebates will follow in April. Again, better to have the money back in the local economy than government hanging on to it.
That's true, yeah. I mean, this is new skills trades Ontario agency. I think that good news, I think, that you tweeted this morning. There's been a jump in the number of apprenticeship programs and registrations, rather.
Yeah, I'm really, really excited about this. I mean, careers in the skilled trades are well-paying, lucrative. When you have a trade, as the Premier says, you have a career for life. We're making huge progress on getting people to sign up for apprentices and apprenticeship programs. So under the former Liberal government, registrations fell by 40%. So today we actually had 20,000 fewer people in the skilled trades because of the former government not prioritizing the trades. But we made a number of changes. We're promoting the skilled trades, sending a message to parents and young people and guidance counselors that these are great careers. There's more than 140 different trades to choose from. And we've seen an increase of 15% in apprenticeship registrations under Premier Ford.
Are companies involved in this? Several private companies?
Well, any employer out there that has skilled trades workers can sign up apprentices, and we encourage them to sign up apprentices. We need to build that next generation of skilled tradespeople in Ontario, of course, to grow our economy.
And what's the incentive that the government is offering to these employers to hire apprentices?
Yeah, everything we're doing is around ending the stigma around the skilled trades, simplifying the apprenticeship system, and getting employers to hire more apprentices. So we're actually offering up to $17,000 for employers to bring on apprentices. So the incentives are huge. But today in Ontario, we have tens of thousands of jobs going unfilled. And if we want to build transit projects and hospitals on time and on budget, we need the workforce to do that.
I mean, the government will have to spend a lot of money, isn't it, to subsidize this thing?
Well, I believe it's government's responsibility to have a workforce so we can attract investment here. Look, there's a huge demographic shift happening. I mean, 1 in 3 journey persons in the trades today is over the age of 55. So we have this, this challenge coming where people are retiring. And again, we're investing historic amounts in new hospitals and subways and transit systems and broadband, that we need the workforce to build these projects.
I mean, it's better than bringing in immigrants, isn't it?
That's part of the solution. I mean, I moved in the fall to recognize international credentials. So if you were trained in a country outside of Canada, we're recognizing your professional training that you've received, and we passed that legislation in the fall.
I mean, I think the best idea would be to change the entire education, the system, or not the system, rather the direction, so that students will move into trades instead of going to universities and taking up degrees in humanities and the arts, and which doesn't pay at all later.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we're introducing the skilled trades as early as kindergarten. And just in September, we sent dozens of recruiters into high schools across the province to attract people into the skilled trades, really to compete head on with university recruiters, just to level the playing field and talk about the opportunities in the trades.
I mean, what about these international students who come in? They don't, would you encourage them also to opt for trades?
Well, of course, the immigration system is complex. The federal government has the majority of jurisdiction, but I will say on that, last year, Ontario had 9,000 spots through the Ontario Immigrant Nominee Program. We've called on the federal government to double that this year to 18,000. And we are prioritizing skilled trades workers and healthcare workers to come into Ontario to really to get these great jobs that are out there.
Any new initiatives coming out this month from the ministry?
There's lots happening. I mean, we're continuing to really do everything we can to help workers get bigger paychecks, more workplace protections, and more opportunities for better jobs. So there's lots coming in the days ahead.
That's very interesting. Anyway, I think, we have had thank you, Minister McNaughton. Well, we had a chance to listen to Minister McNaughton about his ministry programs to keep Ontario at the forefront of development as the economy recovers from the pandemic. And thank you, Minister. And
Great, thank you.
I hope you'll appear on our channel again.
And stay safe, everyone.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, Minister.
Bye.
It's time to hone your business skills, and what better way than this week's edition of Business and You, where entrepreneurs Pramod Goyal and DP Jain talk about how to secure financing for your startup or small businesses in Canada. Take a look.
Good morning, welcome to the VNN, Voice News Network Canada. This is an addition to our Financial for You series, and we have the two experts with us, Mr. Pramod Goyal and Mr. DP Jain. We'll continue with this series as what we have done last week, and let's start moving into Finance for You. So this series is very important as for the people who are looking into certain aspects, certain questions, certain details, who wanted to approach a proper professional people who can help them, and they can secure the consultation what they need, as what we have discussed last time. So today's topic is in terms of business finance and in terms of getting those help either from the government, from the banks, or from financial institutions or other things. So I'll ask a question: what kind of financial support or options can a new immigrant who is looking to start a business can look for? So I'll ask from Pramodji first, and then Mr. Jain.
Thank you, Sudhirji. For anybody who is starting to a new business, whether it's a new immigrant or an existing person who is settled here, any business, of course, would require capital to start. And then depending on what the nature of the business, it could be equipment or any machinery that could be required. So there could be financing required for that. It could be for working capital needs, for soft costs, for like buying inventories, or for running operations, for other aspects of business. Or it could be anything that they need to do, build, whether it is for setting up their online presence, for websites. The list could be endless. There could be n number of things that any particular business may need to get onto business. And so financial help is available. There are different programs, different categories of financing that is available. There are multiple sources of financing that one could tap in. Of course, it all depends on what the project is, what the business is about, what the requirement is, and what the business overall entails. So every business has a different need, so it is not something very general. So depending on the specific needs of the business, they can be tailor-made. But all I can say is there are n number of options that are available for any given business to look for.
But if this is specific to the new immigrant who just came, got his PR or her PR and settled down here, what are the opportunities for them? Because most of the banks, they refuse because of the past credit score and past, financial details they may not have.
Jan sir, you want to address that?
Sure. Well, so these are very timely and very pertinent questions when it comes for the particularly for the new immigrant or the resident who are already been to Canada, they want to start a new business. Since you touched upon the point that when there is no good credit or no past experience in history, what kind of financial assistance could be available? So I will touch upon here that for a startup business, there is a very famous program. It is called as Csbfl, Canada Small Business Financing Program. Basically, this is a program which is guaranteed by the federal government, and each and every startup business could qualify, provided they have some sort of down payment available with them. There is a maximum limit of $1 million. This $1 million limit could include the cost of the assets. Assets may include the equipment, machinery, chattels, furniture, their IT cost, and maybe a leasehold improvement or even buying a property. So altogether, this could be maximum $1 million, and maximum funding in terms of loan to value could be 90%. Having said that, it doesn't mean that each and every business would qualify for 90%. It's depending on the nature of the business, strength and experience of the individual entrepreneur. But yes, maximum we can go to 90%. And this loan is guaranteed by the government, by the federal government. So this is the most popular program when it comes for the new startup businesses. Well, government charges 2% fee for that purpose, and this fees can be paid upfront or it can be added to the loan value. The rate of interest is at the same time is also fixed. This is prime plus 3%. A business borrower could choose in between a variable rate of interest or fixed rate of interest. Definitely when someone applies for this loan, they have to submit a business plan, all the quotations for the assets they want to buy. So this program is good for the new immigrant who want to start a business or any existing resident who want to start a business. Well, most of the businesses, they are qualified under this category. But yes, credit matters a lot. But for the new immigrant, even if they don't have good credit or not yet settled, established their credit, still this program is available for them.
There are these small businesses are, as what we just discussed, they are advised to explore the Canadian small business loan, which you have just explained. Can you please explain some more details in terms, how they can fulfill the requirements?
You want to add or?
I think as Mr. Jan was mentioning earlier, so depending on the nature of the business, so whatever the particular requirement is, whether it is to add some machinery or equipment, or they want to set up online presence. So depending on what the actual need is of the business, so they'll have to provide the information based on their business plan as to what the requirements are and where they are going to procure that facility or supplies from, how much it's going to cost, and of course the related invoices and the quotations. Is that what you're asking? So the lending institution or the bank who would lend that money against the program would look for all those details. And of course the foremost thing is when any application goes into a lending institution, the borrower or the businessman has to provide a full business plan outlining what the business is going to be, what is the source of revenue, how much they are expecting, what is their proportionate expense, what is the profitability, and justifying that okay, they would be able to meet the obligations of the business, whether in terms of any fixed costs or employees or repayment of the loan that they are seeking.
So any such requirements as they have to have minimum 2 employees on payroll or any of such requirements?
Not necessarily under the Csbfl or the Canada Small Business Program. They could be self-employed. So, I mean, of course, every business may have employees, but there is not a mandatory requirement that you need to have certain number of employees.
And I want to add, Sudhirji, one more point over here. This program is widely used in most of the lending institutions for the new startup businesses. They prefer this program because it is guaranteed by the government. And at the same time, this program is available not only for the startups, but for any existing business they want to expand. If they meet the guidelines which are laid down in the program, they could also qualify. They want to expand, want to add new machineries, new equipment, want to open a new location. For that purpose, this is available. And most of the lending institutions, that includes all the major banks, all the credit unions, trust companies and all, they prefer and they lend under this program.
So the expansion program, if an existing organization or company who would like to expand, this loan is also available to them. At the same time, it is after this pandemic, 2 years of this suffering, a lot of businesses are facing that problem, the crunch, facing problem in terms of, moving into the new line or expanding the existing line, and they need support and help. So you may look into this and may even, call these two gentlemen for the help. Next question I will ask Pramodji. If any business cannot secure or is not eligible for the traditional financing, other options that could be available to them?
Yes, again, there are multiple streams, as I spoke earlier. So besides the traditional financing that comes in from our nationalized banks or mainstream banks, there are multiple institutions, whether it is credit unions or there are foreign banks who are like Schedule II banks, as we say. They are also, a lot of them are present here and have operations supporting businesses. Then besides that, you have leasing and finance companies. You have merchant financing or advances companies. You have credit card companies. So there are multiple options that one can look at. There are even private organizations, private angel investors, or venture capital firms that also support new startups and ideas. So there could be multiple options for any businessman, even if they are not able to secure the traditional financing.
But the interest rate in that case will be very high?
I would not say very high, but yes, of course, they may not be exactly what you could otherwise gain from a regular bank. So the cost might be slightly higher on it, not in every case, again, it depends on. But I would say yes, in general parlance, you can expect a little bit of higher cost, but then you have to justify based on your business model. If you secure, say, financing at X percentage of cost, and then if your business has the potential to generate multiples of that, then it does not really hurt. But of course, to answer this question specifically, the cost might be slightly different than the traditional bank.
Sudhirji, can I add one point over here?
Yes, please.
Well, we just talked about the Csbfl program that is mainly for the startups, and that's the maximum limit is $1 million. But there could be businesses, existing business or new business, where their initial funding needs or the capital investment is more than $1 million. Now your viewers might think, oh, there's nothing for me. But that's not the case. Well, this business model or this funding model is good for those who have a limited kind of initial investment. But if a business is starting with an investment, say $3 million, $4 million, or multiple $1 million, yes, they can always apply for the commercial loan. Commercial loan is not a part of the Csbfl, where need is more than $1 million. They always can apply for any of the lending institutions. That includes all the major banks, credit unions, private Schedule II banks, and other lenders as well, where they can apply for the higher amount. Non-traditional lending ways, it could be one, if someone want to buy a commercial property, whether it could be a rental investment property, which is generating rental income, investment income, or it is used for your own business. There could be VTB, vendor take back, where the seller himself is funding your needs. Seller says, okay, no problem, you cannot get funding from somewhere else, or you are getting X amount of funding, but your need is Y. I am there to support you. and then vendor can finance that 10, 20, 50%, even 100% or 90%. Definitely, rate of interest could be a little higher. It all depends on your needs, your requirement, your expertise, and the risk involved in that particular business.
So how long does an average loan possibly take?
Very good question, Sudhirji. But it depends on what the requirements is and how soon a borrower is able to meet those requirements. There are certain aspects, as I mentioned initially, a business plan is a must in most of the cases. Then you have to support with the documentation that is required. Say if you're going to operate from a particular location, then you need to have either ownership of that place or a lease in place. So if you are buying equipment, then you need to highlight where you're going to buy, what the cost is going to be, so things like that. So there are like multiple requirements. So as soon as you're able to provide the documentation to the lender, so that is the period which takes a maximum amount of time. So satisfying the requirements and the paperwork attached to the lending institution. Then of course at the institution level, I would say usually it will be a week to a 2-week period to analyze, evaluate, and come back with the response from the bank side, and then execution of the documents, which would be another couple of days. So usually the overall process should not take idly from 2 to 3 weeks or at the most 4 weeks, but it all depends on the borrower as to how soon they are able to provide the upfront information. So in case they are working with somebody, then after I think that period can be reduced very much, because then they know upfront what needs to be provided, and they can always help them compile and get that information.
So in majority of the cases which I have come across with talking to various business people, especially the small scale business people, the people those are running as small enterprise, they have a valid question, or the question which most of people ask. They don't know how this process works. They don't know what are the documents required. They don't know. I mean, though it may be different from case to case, but with those findings in terms of having that information, you probably will have, or Jansa probably will have that information. How you can help them?
Very good question, Sudhirji. Definitely, there's a stage where the role of a consultant and business advisor comes into play. So definitely, myself and Pramodji, we are in a position, because we deal with all these kind of situations each and every day. We help a lot of startup businesses, existing businesses secure funding. And I am feeling in putting my comment, if I won't add the name of a very famous financial institution, that's BDC, Business Development Corporation. BDC is the crown corporation, and the mandate of BDC is to just fund the businesses. BDC is very aggressive, yes, and BDC generally finance and fund each and every kind of businesses. Definitely, well, it should meet the guidelines. BDC has a lot of programs. It could be startup business, any existing business, they need any working capital, inventory buying, any account receivable funding, any buying any commercial property. So all these purposes, BDC is there. BDC is aggressive, and BDC can go beyond where traditional bank doesn't go.
No, I agree, Jansab. My question was in terms BDC may also have a lot of requirements in terms of the paperwork, in terms of all other documentations and all other details, which a small business people who doesn't even have a time, because he is selling, he is preparing, he is working, he is a one-man show kind of thing, where he is providing and giving that services or selling those products, and even doing his accounting himself or bookkeeping himself. He doesn't have a time to go through all those details.
We are there.
So that is why I ask you how.
Well, your viewers, they always can approach to us, and we are there. We know most of the programs which most traditional lends, alternate lenders, BDC, they run. For each and every program, there could be some set requirement. These are standard requirements, and there could be industry business specific requirement. So we know all ins and out how to make a program, how to submit a business plan, and how to secure the funding. Your viewers, they always can approach us for general requirement, for a specific requirement, or they want us to help them. to secure funding, we are always available.
So you, everybody who's watching us may have heard this very clear and loud. You don't need to do any run around. If you need any kind of help in terms of securing a finance for your company or taking a loan or taking grants from the government, it is easier way to look into is approach these gentlemen. They'll be able to help you. Anything else you want to add on this?
Sudhirji, as we've been talking, so my understanding is, and then based on my experience in the industry, there is a lot out there that is available. There are multiple options for businesses, and as you were mentioning, a small business person who is entangled in the day-to-day operations of the business does not have the time or the information or the scope to know about
Even
all
the
the
stress.
all the
Yeah.
available programs and opportunities that is available. So what they need to do is get connected to a right person who can help them in identifying what could be available for their kind of business and their situation. So there is no harm seeking advice, and then depending on what you know, what you learn, and what you want to progress on, you can always take their assistance. So I think one should not be shy enough or keep thinking that okay, I should go here or there. I think my advice would be to seek appropriate person that they trust or they can approach, and seek the consultation that could help them in securing the required amount.
But there's a common, synergy or common emotions, I would say, with most of the small businesses. They do not want to disclose their information to the known people. They want to go to a professional who has or who complies with all those, information in terms of what you call, secret kind of thing for them, right? It is a kind of a.
That is understandable.
No, it is, but the question here is people, running with various emotions while working. They are the single man operation in their systems. They don't have a time. They have to spend that time with families as well. They have to spend time with the, business as well. They come in the morning, go back in the evening. They sometimes don't even have a time to even go and meet professionals like you. So how it is possible, even if they approach on phone, and you can advise them or you can go and meet them at their location? Is it possible?
It all depends on situation. Well, whatever way it works out, definitely, since we are business person as well, in our mandate is support the businesses, our clients, new clients. Again, it all depends on the situation. Yes, we prefer if client visit to our office because we have all the tools available within the office. But if situation warrants us and it's that kind of necessity, we don't mind visiting once or for an initial meeting. But definitely at the end, client has to visit to our office because we can't carry all the tools. Yes. Here I want to add that there could be few other financing avenues available. Well, in worst scenario, if because of any reason, because of any credit issues and something else, if a business is not able to secure any kind of financing from traditional lenders, alternate lenders, sometimes what happens, it could be their own financing, like the home-based equity, HELOC. If they have any real estate where they have built up equity, they can take that equity out and finance their business. Though we generally don't support it, but at the same time, there could be a situation where because of any reason, you are not able to secure any kind of funding from anywhere. But yes, there is a huge equity sitting in the business, and the business model is good, business will make money for you. You can at the same time take that money out. Nowadays, there is a lot of growth of the private lenders in the market. Most of these private lenders, they are very expensive, but it could be for immediate need, where you need money right in one day or 2 days, and then you can repay it within few weeks or a month or 2 months or few months. They are private lenders. Most of these private lenders, they are expensive, but again, depending on the situation, for immediate needs, these could be a good source. And these private lenders, that lending they make, it doesn't go on your credit. So it's a kind of personally secured financing. That's why they are taking higher risk. So obviously, rate of interest is higher.
So even in case of the private lending, Mr. Jain and Mr. Goyal, they both are available to you. Before you sign any documents with the private lenders, it is good to approach them for them to see the documents, whether it is favorable to you or favorable to the private lender only. So it is very important to check all aspects, and for all those aspects, all those details, the best part is they are available, professional help is available. So you approach them, you get to know them also at the same time, and they will be able to provide what support you need, what financing you need, and don't be shy approaching such professionals. So it is for a long term, for a short term loans or any kind of loans, we all must see, all businesses must see this opportunity. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Goel. Thank you, Mr. Jan. We'll meet you again in the next week for this series, Finance and You. Till then, signing off. Thank you. I'm Sudhir Anand.
This week, Regional Councillor Gurpreet Dhillon speaks with Bala Menon about the Fair Deal for Brampton campaign to bring down auto insurance rates and halt the discrimination in rates based on postal code. He is also asking Ontario government to act on the demand for a new hospital in the city. Listen to our next interview to know more.
Hi, welcome to VNN. We have with us today the dynamic regional councillor of Brampton, Gurpreet Dhillon, who is also a community leader and activist, and who plays a strong advocacy role for residents of Brampton. He has successfully lobbied for affordable seniors transit passes, stopped misleading door-to-door sales agents, that was a very good move, and called for reforms in rideshare and taxi regulations, and of course the popular drop-in basketball initiative for youth. Today, he will talk to us about auto insurance rates, a subject that makes every Bramptonian very angry. Welcome to VNN, Councillor Dhillon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yeah, tell us about this, the city's Fair Deal campaign and how it all began, and about the survey that you did.
Well, absolutely. So, Fair Deal for Brampton actually started with our campaign for healthcare, and so we felt like we weren't getting enough funding for our city in terms of per capita. We were one of the lowest funded cities in all of Canada, and so we had one hospital only, whereas Mississauga has 5. Hamilton has numerous. And so that's where Fair Deal started. And so what I did was I got it passed in our council that we should have a Fair Deal for Brampton for car insurance as well. So we had created an awareness program at fairdealforbrampton.ca, has all the statistics on how Brampton was, for lack of a better term, was getting the short end of the stick in terms of treatment for us, postal code discrimination, just unnecessary just kind of gouging of our residents. And so we also had a petition, nearly 20,000 people signed the petition. And so that's for Fair Deal for Brampton, the campaign, how it started and how it's evolved.
I mean, did this petition have any effect, you think, on the government?
So we had a report recently from rates.ca. They issued statistics from 2021. They mentioned this initiative that our city started that I was able to get passed. And they said that we were the highest insurance rates before, but the latest statistics showed us that we're now the 4th highest. And our premiums went down from 2,700 to just over 2,700 to just over 1,900. So about $700 they got reduced.
But why?
So
do you think that it is because of the good heart of the insurance companies, or I mean, there has been a lot of decline in claims because people are hardly driving last year?
Yep. So they had mentioned one of the primary reasons for Brampton was the significant lobbying effort that we had, and so I think when people speak out, I think
it does affect.
these big insurance companies listen. There was a York University study that showed that from the early 2000s to just before 2020, there was billions of dollars of extra in premiums that were charged to Ontario residents. And so that's something that was very concerning, that if you don't have to pay extra, why should you? In one of the, there's I believe it's Bill 42 that was put forth by the PC government a couple of years back, where they were going to end postal code discrimination. So that bill was in its readings. It got delayed because of COVID. We're hopeful that that bill will be brought back now, and that just because of your postal code, you shouldn't be penalized for it. L6X in Brampton is paying about $3,300 average. That was a couple of years ago. It's decreased now. But it's, we're struggling to get by. Regular people just, tough to get grocery. Gas is at $1.60 now, and inflation is through the roof.
Yeah.
And so there has to be some type of relief from the government going forward.
So this Bill 42 of this, or ending discrimination in automobile insurance, I mean, are you still pressuring the government to do something about this, or are they ignoring Brampton altogether?
Well, we've been ignored by the provincial government for decades, right? But we're hoping they'll listen this time. They got 20,000 signatures from Bramptonians, and so I'm sure they'll be looking to pick up a couple more seats in Brampton as well. And so if that's of interest to them, I'm sure they'll be open to listening to those 20,000 people. I would say more than 700,000 people that live here who want to see their insurance rates decrease.
But you see, we'll have to see which lobby is stronger, whether the people's lobby or the insurance lobby, isn't it?
Well, listen, insurance lobby has their own bottom line.
Yeah.
And, the bottom line of the people is the bottom line of the people. And that's, where we're looking for the provincial government to intervene and take a look at, how unfair it is for Bramptonians.
Because I think they made record profits during the pandemic, substantially reduced claims, isn't it?
A lot of companies made a lot of money during the pandemic, not just the insurance industry, a lot of other industries. But, just looking on just a basic level, affordability has become such a big issue in Brampton, especially. And, when I say we get the short end of the stick, it's I challenge any other city to tell us otherwise. Because if you take a look in terms of healthcare, we're so underfunded. If you look at some of the facilities that we have here, we don't have our fair share. And then you got auto insurance. You look at an issue that we have a lot of precarious jobs. And so we've asked the government to step in. Mississauga just got the largest hospital in Canada. We got 250 beds. They got over 1,000 beds.
Yeah, it's true.
And so we're just asking for a fair deal.
Maybe they allow the Mississauga mayor and the mayor council more. That's what it looks like. I mean, they ask and they get it.
Yeah, well, it's really not about the council here. It's just about the residents. And so that's our concern, that, we make life a little bit easier. And Bala, when my dad came to this country in the early 70s, he worked a job in a factory. He was able to provide for his family on one income. Mm-hmm. But incomes have remained stagnant since 1980.
Right.
And you take a look at buying a house now. In Malton, you could buy a house for $800,000 in September 2020, a semi-detached.
Yeah.
Same semi-detached is selling for $1.5 million. That's like a 90% increase in the house price.
Yeah.
Our wages are at the same spot, and we're looking for the province to help out where they can.
Well, okay, coming back to the insurance thing, I mean, these factors which the insurance companies said, like collisions, additional claims, theft, insurance fraud, are they still prevalent in Brampton, or is it those seen a decline as well?
Well, again, I'm referring back to that York University study. It's a pretty an in-depth study that was done. They said that there was really like nominal difference in terms of number of claims that occurred in Brampton. And so, we've talked to a number of people as well for, some reforms in terms of how these claims are done. And so, you might get in an accident, your car's taken away. They should have the pictures taken right away of what the accident was. It might go to somebody the repair shop, who might put it as a write-off.
Right.
So that's where a lot of the costs are being incurred for these claims. And so, get an app that you can take a picture right away of what the damage is. So there's a lot of different ways you can, fix the system up. But in terms of Brampton residents, they just want the postal code discrimination to end.
Yes. I was reading, I read the York study. They said, of course, all the benefit costs, most go, hardly anything goes to for the rehabilitation of the victims, but it's lawyers and other people involved in the industry. They take most of the money, isn't it? That's what has to stop.
Well, we need a round table on this.
Yes.
I don't, there's also abuse as well, and we're not denying that in terms of some of these claims. I got in a little fender bender in 2016. I mean, as light as you can touch somebody, just touch the car. The lady got out, laid down on the ground. Two fire trucks came and put a brace on her neck. What can you do, right? It's and it's not just the insurance companies. It's the residents as well, of the people as well. We got to make sure that there's no abuse of the system.
Are there too many complicated regulations concerning this auto insurance industry? Is it because of that?
Sorry?
Other claims go through very easily, but in this, I don't know, so many people involved, so many parties involved.
Right, like I said, I think there needs to be a round table.
Yeah,
and we need to have everybody at the table. Right now, we seem to be operating, different parts of the body are operating separately from each other. We need to get everybody on the same page and really discuss the issue and try to get a resolution. We don't want insurance companies losing money. Absolutely not. We want them to do well, and we don't want false claims. But at the same time, we don't want somebody who has a clean driving record to have their rates increase unfairly.
Are you going to take some initiative on this subject for a round table? I think that's
right. Right now, we're looking to our MPPs. There's only so much that a councillor from Brampton can do, or the municipal government can do. We're forced to bring up these issues because we're on the ground level. And so we have to say something. But we don't want to get too involved in something that the provincial government should be doing themselves. We don't prefer necessarily if the province comes in and say, hey, why isn't this street paved? Or, why isn't this street light, the bulb replaced? It's not their place, just like it's not our place. But on behalf of the residents, we have to stand up and we have to, get their voice to the parliaments. And we're looking to our MPPs. A lot of these guys are, busy on TikTok, making TikTok videos. They should be out in the streets getting this petition signed instead.
Right. Will you be doing something about the fair deal on health too?
Yeah, we got the website from the city. We're asking everybody to continue to sign the signatures. We've already sent almost 20,000 signatures for auto insurance over to our provincial counterparts up at Queen's Park. And so, fairdealforbrampton.ca. You can get all the information from there.
Any other new initiatives coming up in the council?
Yeah, And so I'm very proud that I was able to get passed in 2019 that for 2022, our senior residents, anybody 65 and older, bus service should be free. And so I'm very proud that that was passed unanimously. And on February the 28th, bus service for all Brampton seniors will be free. There's two things you need though. One is a Brampton Transit ID card, which you can get from any, there's some temporary kiosks we have open. You can get it from Shoppers World or some of the main bus stations, for example, Bramley City Center. And you also need a Presto card. When you get those two, you'll be able to go anywhere in Brampton or travel anywhere where Brampton Transit services to. It'll be free of cost. And so from February 28th, we'll be giving a 6-week time period for anybody who doesn't have their Presto card to get their Presto card. And then after that, they'll be able to use it. So that's a pretty big initiative that we have coming up soon.
Oh, that's a very big thing. Yes, big thing. And what about, they can be used for transfers also, or you have to pay the extra for the transfers?
Sorry?
They'll have to pay extra for the transfer. If they want to transfer to say TTC or Mississauga, Zoom anyway.
Yeah, this is just for Brampton Transit.
Brampton, yeah, okay.
But if there's a Brampton Transit bus that goes to Mississauga and comes back from Mississauga, they'll be able to access those as well. But this is only for Brampton residents, not for any other municipality aside from ours.
Well, that's very good initiative. Well, thank you, Councillor Dhillon. That was a very interesting discussion. I think I enjoyed it anyway. I think we should have some more of these later talks.
Absolutely. If anybody has any questions, my phone number is 905-794-2510. You can WhatsApp me on my personal cell at 647-863-2510, or you can always email me at gurpreet.dhillon@brampton.ca.
Fine. Thank you, Councillor Dhillon. Thank you.
Thank you, boss.
We had with us Councillor Dhillon from Brampton Council, and you heard him talk about auto insurance and some other issues. And this transit passes for seniors, that was a very good news. I think we'll be publishing that in next week's edition of the newspaper as well. Thank you for watching. Thank you, Councillor Dhillon. Thanks.
Canadian technology platform cooperatives Direct Global and Local Driver Co-op are giving drivers and businesses a chance to take advantage of a co-op model that sees drivers keep 90% of revenue right fee from every trip and cost businesses using them only 5% through their Direct Local Eats food delivery app. I chatted exclusively with Rick Singh from Direct Global Co-op to know more about this initiative. Listen in. Many people from the South Asian community here in GTA opt for work opportunities as local drivers, be it for food delivery or cab services. But unfortunately, these people are not able to make enough from the profits as major businesses take the majority of the share. Now, to make this more equitable, a Canadian technology platform, Direct Global, which is a local driver co-op, is here to give drivers and businesses a chance to take advantage of a co-op model that sees drivers keep 90% of revenue or ride fee from every trip. To talk more on that, I have with me Mr. Rick Singh from Local Driver Co-op. Welcome to VNN, Rick.
Thank you so much for having Pragya on air. Thank you so much. Yeah.
So tell us about your initiative, Direct Global or Local Driver Co-op. What is it?
Actually, this is a company which we made actually for the drivers and business owners. So what we did actually, if you know the Uber and Skip the Dishes, what they do, they took a loss of the major share, like from their income what the driver makes actually. So if the driver makes $100 in the city driving 8 to 10 hours, whatever, right? So they took almost $30 to $40 from his income, right? So driver, after paying, to the driver and everything, so they got a minimum pay. So after working so many hours, they have to do. Some drivers I seen like they're working 15 hours or something to make a decent income. So what we did here, so if they do 8-hour work, they don't have to work like somewhere else. They can make a full-time nice decent income here because we are paying almost 90% to the drivers. So which is a big thing compared to Uber and other DoorDash or Skip the Dishes companies.
Yeah. So break it down for me more. How much the drivers usually make in GTA right now, and how local driver co-op model will help the drivers and small businesses in making more money?
As I said, drivers, it depends on, how many hours they work actually. It's not just, they're working in the morning, they're working in the afternoon. So it depends on the day of the time. So if they work average, as I told you, when they work on certain hours, they make whatever the income they make here, they're getting 90% of their share, right? So it doesn't matter they work 10 hours or 24 hours, they get the highest share, which is 90% to the driver goes to, compared to 60 to 70% in other companies. So that's the main thing.
Mhm. So let's talk more about this initiative of yours. How long did it take you to create this model, and which locations are you currently active in Canada?
It takes a little bit, we have to set up everything, we are planning to launch in whole North America. So right now, the golf is all running right now. We're doing the deliveries, everything going perfect. All the business owners join us most of over there. But for the Brampton, we are registering right now, and soon we're going to launch. And then next, the Mississauga and Vaughan and all the areas are covering soon. So that's the thing.
And are there any plans for expansion? Like, what's the long-term goal for local driver co-op?
Oh, this is a long week. We are planning to about all North America right now. We have planned. So we also looking for a drivers, to be, work as a full-time, not just because they work somewhere else and then they have to make extra income here. But our goal is to make them full-time, so decent income, so they can enjoy their families. They're working 8 hours compared to 12 hours or maybe even more, right? So that's where they can enjoy their family life and everything. Yeah.
So are you guys recruiting right now for this initiative? And if yes, how can local drivers register themselves if they're interested?
Yeah, definitely we're recruiting is first of all for the business owners. This is one more thing I want to add here, because business owners are the most who are having a loss in this one, and other companies. But what we did here, if say I give you just an example, if $10 delivery, cost to business owner, if they go to, compared to the other company like a DoorDash or Uber, what they did, they only have a money end of the $6 or $7 in their pocket. But here, straightforward, if they spend $10 over there or towards the cost of the food, they directly $9.50 goes to them. We only take 5% because of the cover of our cost. That's all. So that's why this company is for the driver and the business owners together to work for them. It's not just owned, it's owned by the driver and business owners actually.
Well, thank you so much, Rick, for talking to us. And I'm sure local driver co-op would see a lot of success in coming days.
Absolutely. I really welcome to the business owner and drivers. Please register there. I'm going to give you the address of the company. So which is for the business owner is a directlocaleats.com. For the driver is a local driver co-op. But driver has to register on the direct local eats because we have decent plans for them. Over there, they can save in the gas like a 6 cent, every liter they put in their gas. There's lots of other benefits. They can have the passive income. They have a company shares. So lots of benefit for the driver. So driver has to register for 2, which means they also have this app on Android and Google, and the on app stores. So they can register there over there. For the business owner, they can also register on directlocaleats.com.
Well, thank you so much. And I'm sure our viewers can see the details on their screen. Thank you, Rick, again for talking to us.
I really appreciate your time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
And that is it in today's episode of The Weekly Show. We would love to hear your thoughts on the show, so type it in the comment section and tell us what you think. You can follow us on our social media handles, and if you like this video, don't forget to subscribe us so that you can get all the updates from our channel. Thanks for watching.